Welcome to Michael Romeo Talks Books. I'm Michael Romeo, and boy, have I got some books to talk about now. We are doing a book haul, my first book haul of 2023, and it's a whopper. I have to say, I'm probably becoming an addict of thriftbooks.com. Have you discovered thriftbooks.com? You get some really good bargains, and they have everything. They have everything. I haven't been disappointed yet. Well, no, I can't say that. There's been a couple that have been out of stock, but they've got stuff that you'd never think that they would have, but they do. I now go there automatically. So anyway, that's where this book haul mostly is from. There's a couple of other things thrown in. So we'll start with I guess you'd call them the standalones. A late Christmas gift that I got, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, is Grandma's Little Black Book of Recipes from 1910. And it's got some fun stuff in it. And I love that each page has a photograph of the original page out of Grandma's cookbook. But then it's in very legible type. So, but it's got some neat little recipes in it. So here's a table of contents. And some of the recipes in it are best conversions. There we go. Contents. Now some simple things like almond paste, black bakewell pudding, breakfast rolls. They've got a Christmas cake, chocolate tartlets, a coffee mold, which I'm not sure what that is. Orange cake and icing, meringue of pears, queen's cake, a Christmas cake, another Christmas cake, white icing for Christmas cake, wartime fruit cake, which I ought to enjoy because I love fruit cake. Just a cute little book. I mean, really little. And it says on the back here, it's got a sticky note. It says, try chocolate tartlets. Lovely. So, I am going to try the chocolate tartlets. I will be sure to do that. So that's one of the standalones. The other standalone is, you've heard me talk many times about the Ian Rutledge series by Charles Todd. Well, here's one of them, A Fine Summer's Day. What happened is we've been doing this on ebook that we get from the library. Well, our library has a great ebook system. But what happened is because the holidays were busy, we just didn't get to finish it. And it expired and I had to return it. So I went to get it out again, and it said that it didn't exist anymore, that it had been taken out of circulation. So we're like halfway through it, and we really wanted to know who the killer is. So what else was I going to do but go to the Rift Books and get it? And they had it. They had all the books. So we're looking forward to finishing this. This is this series is a series of books that Linda and I read to each other. She reads to me, I read to her, and she reads to me while I'm doing dishes or cooking a dinner, and I read to her while she's doing stuff. Sometimes we just read back and forth in bed. I'll read a few chapters, she'll read a few chapters. It's just a fun thing that we do. I think more couples should do it. It's just enjoyable. So those are the standalone ones. So we're finally going to get to find out. We're probably going to have to start at the beginning again, though, because it was already getting a little confusing. But anyway, those are the two standalones. The rest have a theme. Um, you remember, if you've been watching, um, if you're new, you don't know this, so you can't remember it. But those of you who have been watching my videos for the past couple of months know that I am doing this project of trying to reconstruct my mother's bookshelves. Um, all her books went to a book dealer at one point when she was moving from a large house to a small apartment. And and I remember that there were books that she had on her shelf that I enjoyed, and there have been books I've read since that I remember being on her shelf that I've enjoyed. And it seems that my mother and I have very similar taste in books, and um, ones that she enjoyed, I've enjoyed. Now my mother has passed away. She's been gone now for I don't know, half a dozen years, and and I just got this whim of just collecting the books that she had on her shelves, and I started with ebooks, and I think I've taken that about as far as I can go. I still check a couple of them, but there's just some stuff that have not been released um, on electronic formats. So I've started going to thrift books to get some of the others, and I've just found this treasure trove of books that um, that they have of what my mother had. Anyway, I'm rambling here. So the rest of these books, with the exception of a couple at the end, which I will talk about, are part of that collection. And first one is by Anne River Sidens, and it's called Fox's Earth, and it's a bit of a chunker. No, not too bad. It's not as thick as it seems. It's 550 pages long. And it says on the back, in 1904, Ruth Yancey is only 10 years old when she is brought to live at the magnificent mansion called Fox's Earth. But the impoverished daughter of an abusive mill worker has already internalized her mother's steely code. Men may hold all the power, but a woman possesses one thing that can get her anything in the world she wants, if she's prepared to make certain sacrifices. Deserted by her mother in order to give her a better chance at wealth, Ruth's own ambition drives her to possess Fox's Earth at any cost, even though her sacrifice will ultimately be her own husband, children, and grandchildren. I haven't read this one yet. I have read other books by Anne River Sidens that I loved. She is a great writer. And the next one is one that I have read before, but I got it to complete the collection. It's Heartbreak Hotel by Anne River Sidens. And this one is a page turner. I remember flying through this book so fast. In Montgomery, Alabama, Martin Luther King Jr. has organized a bus boycott. In Tuscaloosa, outrage surrounds the entrance of the state university's first black student. But at Little Randolph University, sweltering in the summer heat, life remains dreamily the same. At Kappa House, the sorority sisters talk of who has pinned whom and whether they can sneak past their house mothers so they can go party at the out-of-town bar. Even among this privileged group, pretty popular Kappa sister Maggie Deloche is unquestionably one of the elite, until she commits a single act of defiance and courage that forever alters the way others think of her and how Maggie thinks of herself. Love this book. Love the character of Maggie Deloche. I love the setting during the civil rights movement and how everything just plays off of that. Highly recommend this book. Highly recommend it. If you've not read it, read it. Good book. And the next one is a book by Evan Hunter, who is also known as Ed McBain. And if you want to know anything about Ed McBain, just go see Ollie at Criminale, and he can tell you all about it. He's got the entire collection of Ed McBain books. But also, while writing as Ed McBain, he was also writing as Evan Hunter. I don't know where this man found the time. And I can tell you right now, that's not the real picture. Anyway, I read this one last summer. This was on, I didn't read it last summer. The title was last summer. This was on my mother's bookshelf. Last summer was a vacation island, beach grass and plum, sunshine and sand. Last summer was a million laughs. Last summer, a pretty blonde girl and two carefree suntanned youths nursed an injured seagull back to health. Last summer, too, they befriended Rhoda, a shy young girl with trusting eyes. Let the reader beware. This is a shocking book, not for its candor and daring, but for its cruelty and scorn, its shattering impact, and its terrifying vision of reality. What begins as a vacation idyll gradually turns into a dark parable of modern society, revealing the insensate barbarity of man. The opening is as bright as summer, as calm as a cobra dozing in the sun. But the summer and compassion wane. The author strips away the pretense of youth and lays bare the blunt primeval urge to crush, defile, and betray. The tragic, inevitable outcome exposes the depths of moral corruption and the violation of the soul. In this tale of depravity, Evan Hunter has written a novel that is a work of art. Its theme and portent are inescapable. Its insolence cauterizing, its humor outrageous. A brilliant, stabbing, altogether unforgettable book. And it is. It is an unforgettable book because after all these years, I still remember this book. But I'm probably going to reread it. Even though I remember it well, I'm going to reread it because the next book is its sequel, Come Winter. I never did read the sequel, though it was on the shelf. And in the sequel, it almost seemed as if winter had already come. Those were the final words of last summer. In this, Evan Hunter's new novel, winter has indeed arrived, and Sandy, David, and Peter are together again. Sandy, David, and Peter, 5 years later. The searing summer of Rhoda is far behind them. More stylish and sophisticated than they were as adolescents, each complete in the presence of the other, they form a brilliant trio, handsome, intelligent, witty, humorous, impregnable, and deadly. Into their dazzling orbit come Fodderman and Mary Margaret. What happens to them all in the days before Christmas is as chilling as the snow-covered terrain surrounding them, as terror-ridden as the trails they ski. Come Winter is an unforgettable exploration into the nature of evil. So there you go. Sounds about as uplifting as last summer was. But anyway, yeah, I definitely want to read the two together so I can get the whole story this time. And then we have two books by Jacqueline Suzanne. Now, this one I don't think my mother actually had, but she had all the other Jacqueline Suzannes. So I figured if I'm getting the Jacqueline Suzannes, I might as well get this one too. And it's called Every Night Josephine. And it's basically, yeah, listen to this, kids. I got my whole pack here all around me. That it is about her relationship with her poodle. So yeah, there's nothing in here that says what it's about, but I do know that it's about her relationship with her poodle and how it affected her life, and um, how her husband came to become a poodle lover, uh, and what have you. So I think it'll be fun. Nice light book. Then there is what is probably the worst book Jacqueline Suzanne ever wrote. All it says on the back is "Tomorrow, watch the skies," and this book is called Yargo, and it was published after her death. Apparently, it was a manuscript that was found among her belongings that dates back to the 50s. What's the matter, Toby? You want to come up? Come on. You need a hand up? Come on. Come on. There you go. Okay. Oh, stop snarking at each other, everybody. Okay, yeah. So, we're talking about Yargo. Everybody's changing positions here. Okay, everybody. All right, TARDIS, that's enough. Okay. So, Yargo, a love story that takes you from planet to planet to planet. It is science fiction at its corniest. It is it is just so they try in the introduction, if I recall correctly, if I remember, was it in the introduction? Yeah, written during the early 1950s. Yeah, it basically blames the fact that it never got published on the fact that male writers ruled the science fiction genre, and that goes on to say that basically this book is as good as Ray Bradbury and all the others. And no, this book never got published because it was bad, and they were only able to publish it after she died, to play off the fact that here's a book that she wrote that nobody has ever gotten to read before. Ollie, Criminali, are you listening to this one? This goes right up. This is a perfect example of what you talk about when you talk about trashy books, and your Garb-August reading event. Despite how bad it is, though, it is fun to read. If you don't take it seriously, if you just take it as what it is, it's just a bad book. So anyway, Yargo, and I'm gonna mention Ollie in my description down below. I'm going to tag him there. Hopefully he'll come by and he'll see this, and we can talk about it for Garb-August. The other Jacqueline Suzanne's arrived in an earlier book haul, and a couple of them I have electronically. So we've got The Valley of the Dolls, The Love Machine, Once Is Not Enough, Dolores, now Yargo, and Every Night Josephine. So, from the ridiculous to the sublime, TARDIS. And I read this one. This was on my mother's bookshelf. And I read this one back in high school and loved this book. And I will read this one again now that I've got another copy of it. And is it a chunker? It's just shy of 700 pages, so I guess that qualifies as a chunker. I think when they do the reading event of March of the Mammoths, I'm trying to remember what the page limit is, and I think it's 700 pages or more. So this one wouldn't quite qualify, but I already picked out what I'm going to read for that event when it comes around anyway. And that is I'll have to look up from last year who curates that one, and mention them in my description below. So you can watch for March of the Mammoths because it's coming up quick. But Chartist is about two families in Hungary, and it's set during the two world wars, and it's a beautiful book about how society and society and culture and just everything was disrupted by the world wars, and life just was changed irrevocably. Anyway, it couldn't go back. Sometimes English gets me, even though it's my first language. But yes, wonderful book. And I've read other books by her since. The Summer of the Barzynskis is another absolutely wonderful book. So get yourself a copy of Chartist if you want a chunker. Worth every page. And then we just got 3 self-indulgent books that have nothing to do with anybody's collection. The Color of Light by William Goldman. I've read it before, and this was back when my wife and I were just roommates. Yeah, that's how we met, my wife and I. She had an apartment and needed to share it with somebody because it was expensive. I was moving into the area because of work and couldn't afford a place on my own. And there was this place called Roommates Incorporated, and she put in her name as having a place and needing somebody to share, and I put in my name as somebody who needed a place to share, and they matched us up based on our likes. Oh, excuse me, indigestion. Our likes and dislikes. And after being roommates for a couple of years, we got married. So that's how we met. And isn't that a lovely little romantic story? Almost sounds like it comes out of a novel, doesn't it? Maybe it should. Maybe I ought to write it. Anyway, William Goldman's The Color of Light, the stunning story of a writer, lover, and young man about to face the hardest truth of all. I have a story that goes with this. A writer and a man. He's 23 years old and already a prodigy. A critically acclaimed author of whom great things are expected immediately. He has friendship. His editor, an old college buddy, guides his career. He has love. The girl of his dreams walks out of her marriage and into his arms. But artistic success and happiness will not come easily to Chub Fuller. Like many writers, he will find himself descending again and again into the lower reaches of his psyche, driven by the phantoms of his past, the obsessive passions of others, and finally by a murder that brings him face to face with the darkest forces within us all. Fun story about this book. It has a twist at the end. And when I say it has a twist at the end, I mean it has a twist at the end. Here is the last page of the book. And the twist is right there. The next to the last paragraph is the twist in the tale. But here's the thing. There's something else, just fairly earlier on, just maybe by 20 pages or so, that if it's a detail that if you don't pick up on it, you don't get the twist. But if you happen to get that little detail and then you hit the twist, you go, oh my God. Now, I gave this to my roommate, soon to be wife, to read because I thought it was a great book. And she read it and she got to the end and she said, I don't get it. And I said, you don't get it? What do you don't get? She said, I don't get it. I don't get the ending. I don't understand. And I said, well, read the last two paragraphs again. And she did, and she said, I don't get it. I don't get it. So then I found the part that had the little detail in it earlier on, and I said, okay, read that right there. And she read that. And then I said, now go back and read the last two paragraphs. And she did. And she threw the book at me. I mean, literally. She was like so surprised by the twist and that I would give her a book to read that had that kind of thing in it. And she just closed it and she just flung it at me. I caught it, fortunately. But it is that good a thriller. Okay? And all it takes is finding that little detail and then paying attention in the last few pages, because that twist at the end is a real humdinger, and it's very well done, very well placed. Also, since I was on William Goldman, I got another William Goldman that I read a long time ago, back when I was in high school, called Magic. This is a really good psychological thriller. And it says so right here. Magic is a dazzling psychological thriller about a man obsessed by magic and the dark forces that work to destroy him. A spectacular tour de force by the author of and lists his books. This is William Goldman's most chilling and electrifying novel to date. It's the story of magic and illusion and an entertainer named Corky. We first see Corky in New York, nervous, agitated, bursting to get away. In spite of his boyish good looks, charm, and professional excellence, he's a driven man, a man with something to hide. It is his attempt to keep his secret from the public that starts the novel on its bizarre course, leading the reader subtly into psycho country. Magic is entertainment of the highest order, packed with menace, laced with wit, touched with genius, a startling, riveting, breathtaking novel that will leave the most jaded reader stunned. And it is a good book. I read this one in one sitting. As you can see, it's not very thick. It's only, it's just over 200 pages. Yeah, just like 205 pages. And I read it in one sitting. It was that good. I could not put it down. So that's another one. And then while I was on William Goldman, I got one that I'd never read before called Heat. And as you see, it's got a knife cutting through it, so it's got to be sinister, right? Of course, because William Goldman wrote it. This is the story about a man and his city, a city you think you already know, and a man you never really will. The man is Nick Escalante, the city of Las Vegas. It's Nick's 5,000th warning here, but he's not exactly celebrating. Although he is a 6'3" master of edged weapons, a sometime bodyguard, avenger, investigator, and gambler, a man who knows Vegas from the high-rolling world of the Strip to its seediest back alley, Escalante dreams of deserted black sand beaches and lost cities, a life of motion and freedom far away from the town that both feeds him and destroys him. In the next few days, Escalante will live what would be a lifetime for most of us. Friends, always a soft spot for Nick, will call on him for the help only he can give. There's Holly, the beautiful girl whose love will spark a war between Nick and a mobster's psychotic son, and Paxton, the former evangelist who once exposed the religion racket and is now haunted by his past. But it is a bizarre and baffling kidnapping threat that will plunge Nick into a harrowing race against time, and ultimately his own death. He will experience what Holly calls the all-black night, and not even one ray of hope breaks through. A heart-stopping spree in a casino where his freedom money, the cash he needs to flee Vegas forever, is tantalizingly within his grasp. And a walk on the furthest side of existence when an old buddy and handgun expert accepts a contract on Escalante's life. Here, in the finest Goldwyn tradition, is a breakneck-paced tale of violence with startling surprises and stunning, fully fleshed portraits of men and women you will never forget. Yeah, it sounds like it's right up my alley. It sounds like it is a typical William Goldman book. And I just saw my timer there that we're at 31 minutes, and I don't usually go this long, and this is now 2 in a row where I have gone very long. And I know that taking a half hour out of your life to listen to me ramble on about books is a real time commitment. And for those of you who are still here with me at this point, I thank you. I really appreciate it. Go to the comments. Talk about these books. Talk about other books that they make you think about. Talk about anything to do with books, and I'll respond. I love having chats about books, and I enjoy the fact that you are all here. And I am not going to go any longer because this has already been a long video. But I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you the next time too. Bye.